Welcome to Truly Heal, and today's subject, PEMF, Pulse Electromagnetic Frequencies. Something that is in everybody's mouth at the moment because it's so extremely successful and it's increasingly credible in all medical fields. It's used in cancer treatment, in chiropractic, in any form of immune boosting. Detoxification is massively increased. It's known to have an effect almost in every health concern, and that's why almost every clinic has a device like this, and all small practices are starting now as well because their results are greatly improved. Now let's look at the principle. There's two forms. One would be the oscillating magnetic waves, which then sends like weaker waves into the body, but it sends it on a frequency, 18 hertz, 24 hertz, all the earth magnetic waves coming in those low frequencies. And that's what those PMF devices do that are on a low charge. And then you have those devices like the PMT 100, which is a ringer device. Bang! And imagine you have a tuning fork, and the tuning fork responds to a certain frequency, and I go like doesn't and it starts swinging along. That's what we do when we go in oscillating frequencies, whereas this device just sends one massive impulse through the body, and through that all cells start to resonate in their own frequency and are shaken up. It's like a big bang, a gong, and it starts to vibrate throughout the whole body, and all cells resonate in their own frequencies. Okay, now when you look at a cell membrane, it's really important to understand that the membrane is actually the most important part. That's where all the nutrients go in and out. That's where all the receptor sites are. That's where sodium, potassium are going in, and it's called ion channels. It's protein links that connect the outside of the cell to the inside, to the cytoplasm. And through those protein channels come all the nutrients and all the goodies that the cell needs, but also exhales all the waste products. Now those little channels are like valves. They are like very sophisticated high-tech valves where, like, imagine on a balloon you blow up and the balloon is all nice and tight and all holding charge, holding the membrane potential of inside to outside difference, and that's holding it very strong and stable. Now as soon as those little valves start to age, get clogged up, are laden with toxins, have different types of, receptors on them which are not natural, then they clog up, they block up, and then your membrane loses potential. It's the inside and outside voltage doesn't adjust anymore, and that's when your cell starts to deflate, crumbles, has lack of energy. Well, your cell is only one part of you, but if you have millions of cells then with lack of energy, then that's you lacking energy. And that's how we realize that when those big cell differentiations are gone and you go into that lax state, that's when we see rouleau building in the blood, and you have clotting of the blood and bulking of the blood, and that's not taking up oxygen, it's not taking up nutrients, and that's a big problem. Now think about, you go into a clinic and they give you IV treatments, and those IV treatments in the body cannot be absorbed because all your cells are crumbled up, all your receptor sites are blocked and don't work, and all those nutrients float around the body and can't be used. Now you go and bang all your cells, and that's what these devices do, and shake them loose. All those receptor sites open up again. The membrane potential is built up between inside and outside to about 50 to 80 millivolt, whereas those have 20 to 30 millivolt. And all of a sudden your cells start working again. They take up nutrients, they work better, they carry oxygen, and you feel mega energized. Now that's just one simple effect that you have when you use a device like this. Now let me just show you, because I've written down a few keywords that I don't forget half. Reduce edema. Where's actually something that I found quite fascinating. We had in the clinic a lady come in and she fell down the stairs and her leg was swelling up. It was really big, it was purple, it was bruised. And what we did was we just wrapped this coil around it And you do that pretty tight, especially if you have something swollen, and you can see I can just push that here nicely onto my arm and wrist. And that's what we did with her leg. And then you use the other end and plug that into the device, turn it on. You would always turn it down to the minimum, and now you bring it up. Now you can see there is a big magnetic wave going into my wrist, and it really just, you can see it's all inside. It's a very strong magnetic field. Now that, with each pulse, starts to drain and reduce edema. The water retention in those cells, those valves open up, and all of a sudden everything neutralizes. What we saw was within 2 times 3 minutes, that's how long the interval goes, 3 minutes, 2 times 3 minutes, the rope fell off. The swelling had reduced so drastically that the rope just slipped off. And you can see that in many cases. A lot of people who have problems with water retention in their legs, have swollen ankles, have inflammation, they realize that this is a massive tool. You can use that around your elbow, around your shoulder, around your waist. You can use it around your knees. If you have problems with ligaments and tendons in your feet, that's what you would do. You would wrap it around, run the 3 minutes. I turn it down now. But you can do that in any intensity. Now the cable will warm up a little bit, and you will realize an immense healing, very short, very fast. Now when you think about the concept, what we do, it's very simple. You charge your membranes, you open up all the different channels, pathways that your cells can breathe and exhale, excrete toxins, and the fluids are moved out of that area. You activate every cell, which means you also activate your immune cells, your immune system. And you can see that on the image. We have before the white blood cell, crumbled, condensed, very, very sticky and very immobile, not moving under the microscope for almost half an hour, just sitting there. You do one treatment with this or with any of the coils, and I just show you how they work. And you do any of those. This is, by the way, a very nice thing. It's a butterfly. You have, always think about the energy of the loop goes through the middle, back to the side, through and through. So it's like a flower. Now if you take that and put that here on your shoulder, you have a full-on penetration of your shoulder in a massive way. You can use that in your neck area and hold it on like this, or on your knee or on your elbow, and through that you have, with one single device, with one treatment, the full-on range activated. And because in Germany you won't find any soccer club, sports club, rugby club, anybody is using that on the sports field. If any of their players falls or has a crash or an accident, that's the first thing that they do to mobilize them so that they don't get bruises, so that they don't get any kind of injuries. It is a stunning device, specially used, and that's where we know it from the race industry with horses. Horses have very, very delicate tendons in their legs, and they treat them with that, or in their sacral area. It's amazing. And then you have, oops, that was my tri-field meter, my device that fell down 100 times already. Now this is the big loop, and this is actually what I call the Big Bang. This is where you really get those massive impulses into the body. And I'm going to show you now, very simple, when you turn that on, and let's turn it back down. Now you can see, if I turn it on, I hope it doesn't spoil my microphone, but this device actually causes muscle contractions. You can see every time it pulses, and I hope my microphone survives, it really sends a massive magnetic pulse throughout my body. And when you turn on something like a tri-field meter, probably that's way too strong. Now, if I look here and I hold it towards the camera, you can see it has very little effect. Now I turn this towards the indicator, and now it has a strong effect, and I hope you can see that from there. But the frequency really depends on where you direct it to. So what we do is we hold that exactly over our liver. Now you will see if you have your liver problems, it pushes massive shock waves, ringer waves, throughout the cells. Now your healthy cells will deflate the energy and it will just correspond throughout the whole body. Whereas your unhealthy cells, and this is what we realize, they either die off, fall apart, or they redifferentiate. And that's what we call redifferentiation, is actually making an unhealthy cell which has an impaired ATP production, you know, like the nuclei inside, the exchange of energy, that's impaired. So you reactivate that, which is really great. You heal a lot faster. And we know that these devices increase wound healing by factor 2 to 3. So that's very, very good. And you improve circulation. Now that's pretty obvious. If you have all of a sudden all of your receptor sites working again through that big shake, all of a sudden all your systems start working, you produce more energy, you have a lot better circulation. Like with our wrap around the elbow, instantly you feel how that takes pain away, how it loosens up, how your shoulders get free if you use it in that form. Now you can use this around your shoulder, and it's actually a bit of an indicating tool. On this side it hurts, on this side it doesn't. Now on this side I had dislocated my shoulder several times, and that's why it hurts when I put it on that side. So the repair mechanism is a lot stronger. I'm going to turn that down. Now, improved circulation, reduce edema, open cell membrane channels. We spoke about that. All those ion channels, those protein channels, they need to be rattled and shaken loose. There is a lot of toxins that block them. We know xenoestrogens, for example, they block all the estrogen receptors, and that's all shaken loose. And you will realize when you turn that on in a certain area. Let's turn it down. Put it over my head, and now turn it on. Now just finish the 3 minutes. Okay, and you bring it up. Now that's the massive shock waves. You realize it's actually really intense. Like, it's very tough to put up your glasses because it shakes you. Now these are magnetic waves that travel through your body, and they open up all those channels and loosen them, and through that your cells can work better. Now I turn that down. You can actually do that too on a very reduced level around your brain, and you can feel it as you go down. You can feel it exactly within the brain, and I quite like that. I stimulate my neurons and I redifferentiate all the neuron potential, and it really increases a state of calmness. You bring them back to a balanced state, which is really, really good. Okay, now increases ATP production. Very logical. If you get nutrients coming in and waste products going out, ATP, energy production, is a lot higher. But, and this is really the most important, it activates apoptosis in sick and inflamed cells. Now we know that cancer has a very massive problem. It doesn't die. All other cells, they have a life cycle and then they die. Cancer cell has lost the ability to die off. So all your cancer cells, and especially your floating cancer stem cells in the body, they just keep replicating and replicating and replicating, and they don't shut off. And that's what happens when you use this device. They actually learn or reactivate that apoptotic effect, and that's proven. Scientific research, many studies show that the apoptosis of inflamed and sick and unhealthy and cancerous cells is massively increased. Now if you go to the clinic in Germany, or in Switzerland, or any of European clinics who uses those devices regularly, they actually do that treatment before you get any IV treatments, before you have hypothermia treatment, before you have any kind of radiation treatment. They use it even in conjunction with chemotherapy because the uptake of chemo into cancer cells is increased. It's used in so many forms. It's massively increasing your immune system, your immune activity. When you look at your white cells before and afterwards, after you had a treatment, it's like day and night, and they're full on active and they're moving around, they're full on expanded and charged because they go from this state into this state and they have all their charge back, and that's a simple effect. So this is not a cure, but it actually removes a lot of blockages that prevent the cure, and that's why it's such a helpful tool. Now these devices here are, because of their massive effect, of their ringer effect as we call it, really just striking the cell, and with 3 times, 4 times 3 minutes, that's all. You just start down here and you go up. You can move that around your leg and move it in like this, and you hold it so that you get your whole lower bowel and lower body, or ovaries or testicles or anything that needs to be treated. You can treat very specific and targeted, but you can also move it around your body, and with 3-4 treatments your body is fully recharged. Like at the Paracelsus clinic in Switzerland, Dr. Rao, he uses the device before you have any other treatment. In the same way, the Arcadia clinic, before you have any other treatment, you charge in the morning, and then you go into all the other treatments that will help to break down the tumor. But this is the first step to activate the body's ability to really heal.